Welcome into the Dad Verb Podcast. Topics around parenting from the lens of a dad.
Took a week off. We're back. We're back at it. Andrew here. Ben's here. Andrew Saunders is taking the week off. But we're excited to be back with another episode. In this episode, we're going to be chatting about the next stage, right? Things that we're going to be moving on to after the baby stage. The intricacies of that. You're gaining things, you're losing things, and there's some emotion that kind of comes with it. A lot of the listeners to this podcast are kind of more in the early stage of that dad life, but I'm coming up on the stage where we might be changing our last diaper here in a little bit, ever, and we kind of want to open up a discussion about that, right? Life beyond. If you are kind of new to this podcast, we are a podcast chatting about the ins and outs of fatherhood, and we're happy that you're here. As we're listening to this right now, we are on a special day, a unique day in history, where there was a solar eclipse. As of this recording, I'm in Texas, so we had full coverage. Ben, you're on the East Coast. What was your eclipse experience like, man?
I think we had 60. It was like 60 or 70% coverage. So it kind of, I don't know, got like early evening light out in the middle of the day, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
I did happen to have I was working from home today and happened to have a set of the eclipse glasses on. So I went and sat out on my patio and stared directly at the sun for a little bit just to see what it was doing.
Dude, it was really cool. Like, we had full coverage, 100% coverage. And it was, like the show Heroes on NBC back in the day, where I think like the logo, it was like an eclipse, or like the movie Eclipse from the whole Twilight series, where like they would show, like it looked like that, but in person, and it was it was unreal. It just felt unreal. It was really cool.
It was like eerie. It was like
it was really
like eerie and strange and like supernatural almost.
Because it was pure daylight. It was peak sun in the middle of the day. Then all of a sudden, for like 3 minutes, it literally felt like it was 10 o'clock p.m., And we're like, wow. What? This is so... And everything just got quiet. All of our neighbors are out in the street. And it was really cool to be able to share that with my boys. We pulled them out of school early to be like, hey, you got to see this, okay? Because in their schools, they let the second, third, fourth, and fifth graders out to see it. They kept the first graders and kindergartners inside. And they made them watch it on TV. And I was like, no, you got to see.
No, you got to see it.
Because they couldn't guarantee that the kids at that age would listen. And
that they keep the glasses on and not burn their retinas out. They didn't want to be
liable for like making kids go blind. Like they couldn't keep their glasses.
They did the same at my kids' daycare. They wouldn't take them outside for it. They told them all about it, but they wouldn't take them out because they're like, they're not going to keep the glasses on. Somebody's going to melt their retinas into the back of their head. So we'll just leave them inside.
Yeah. So we were just like, dude, this is a very unique moment in history. And we just happened to be in a perfect place. So like, no, you guys are watching this. So we gave them their eclipse glasses, and it was great to be able to share that moment, that experience with them. And that was fun. But experiences, moments like that, I mean, I guess we're gonna kind of cover off on that. Before though, we always like to do our sick check, right? I don't know what our count is. I feel like the last episode that we did, one of us was sick. It's been bad. Where are you at? How are you guys doing?
So since I took a couple weeks off, all of our sicknesses have happened in the last like couple weeks. It's been on and off, double ear infections, respiratory stuff, all that. But this week we're on the mend. Everybody's at least getting over stuff and not carrying anything new that we know of. Nice. So fingers crossed, we are at least going to have a good week.
Dude, there you go. Yeah, we're healthy too. We're healthy too. Like a couple weeks back, it was bad. We had like a vomit situation and all that. And then about 2 weeks ago, I had the flu, like straight up the flu. Tested positive for flu A. And I knew it was the flu too. Cause I remember like I got up at 3 a.m. and I was freezing cold. But then I took my temperature and I was running a fever of like 102. And I was like, and I'm hot, but I'm freezing at the same time. Like this hits so different. The only other time I felt that was when I got my COVID vaccine, like way back when. And I was like,
I got
and it
that
felt
too.
like that. But I'm like, no, this is the real thing. And I knew something was wrong. So I went to urgent care, and they're like, yeah, flu A. I was like, dang, man, this sucks.
Did they give you the pack, like they
gave me Tamiflu.
Tamiflu?
Yeah, it was so it was just like this antiviral that they hooked me up with, and it helped. But like that first day or two, like I was literally just like balled up, like curled up in the bed, and I couldn't watch TV. Like I couldn't be bothered by even TV. Like that's how you know you're sick, when you're like, dang, man, I can't even do a show right now. I like tried to watch Loki, couldn't do it. I just like I love it.
Throw
but
on like The Price is Right.
I
do it old school. Throw on The Price is Right.
Mute. I had it on mute. I couldn't even listen to it. I was like, dude, I can't. That's how sick I was.
That's amazing.
But anyway, yeah, dude. So it's cool that we're just kind of me and Ben right here. And if you're watching on YouTube, we're both rocking some dad gang hacks. This is not a sponsored thing, but I am a big fan of Dad Gang and their gear for awesome, dads. Man. Love their hats. If you guys are interested in any of this gear, I am an affiliate. So, you can go to dadgang.co and use the code in all caps, Dadverb, DADVERB, and you can get 15% off of a sick hat. So, yeah, I'm going to be rocking these more and more. I love these hats. I love my melon hats.
They've got a bunch of cool designs. I love their stuff.
Oh yeah,
they've got a bunch of really good designs. I think I bought one, and then I bought like 5.
Yeah,
so literally. I've got a bunch in the closet, and like I think I had an issue with one hat, and their customer service was like right on it. I mean, super good. Dude, to be able to get a new one sent out to me with like no issues. They look great, fit great, good style, nice like high crown, and yeah, I've loved them since I started picking them up. So now I got to buy them as gifts. I got to give them out to like other dads in the neighborhood, so we can roll deep to the neighborhood barbecue.
There you go. Father's Day is coming up, man. That's gonna be a hot gift for sure. So we're gonna.
Well, they keep selling out.
I know they do. There's some ones that there's some colorways that it just keeps on being sold out, and I really want it, but eventually I'm gonna. And I use my own affiliate code so I can get 50% off. I'm like, yeah, I got
way to do it.
I need a discount, so I'm just gonna use my own code. So, but yeah, anyway, do you want to kick off this the topic, the meat of the episode here, and kind of get into I think what's going to be a fun discussion.
Yeah. So Andrew and I were talking a little bit pre-show just about, we talk in parenting all the time. I think, especially for, I think moms maybe talk about this a little bit more, dads maybe not so much, but what prompted this conversation is a friend of mine, a guy friend of mine, and I were having dinner together. We both had like our sets of kids. He's got 2 girls. I've got 2 kids, and we're all at the point in our life where we're not having kids anymore. Like we've all either, gone through and had a vasectomy, or have just decided like, hey, this is the right size family for us. And so with our youngest kids, there's a lot of first, but there's also a lot of last. And so that got us on this conversation about just changes that you observe in your kids, and kind of trying to appreciate the moment and like what you're able to do with your kids, even though it's hard. And he was kind of sharing with me that his youngest daughter, who's a little bit older than my son, I think, or about the same age, had transitioned out of her crib and into a big girl bed. All right. So he said, I was getting her room ready. I was in there. I was kind of taking her bed apart and just listening to some music, and wasn't really thinking too much about it. He goes, I got about 2/3 of the way through taking this thing down and putting up the big girl bed. And he goes, I don't know what it was, but it just hit me. And he goes, my wife walks in the room, and I'm just sitting in the middle of the floor with like tears coming down my face, trying to take this crib apart. And he goes, I just like couldn't do it. He goes, I had to like give myself a break to, finish up. And he goes, I wasn't like looking to be emotional. It just like kind of hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah, just a rush.
He goes, I couldn't figure out like why it hurt so much. Like it just felt like this kind of really intense emotional pain about what I was doing. And he goes, it didn't really feel like a big deal when I started, but it felt like such a big deal when I was getting towards the end. And so the more we talked about it, and, I kind of shared some stories with him about similar situations, about like when I put my kid's bassinet away for the last time, like that was a much more emotional moment than I thought it was going to be. I'm just taking something down. It's not a big deal. But then all of a sudden you start thinking about, well, this kept both my kids safe and they both slept in this and I'm never going to use it again. And you kind of, you start to get attached to these things and realize like why your parents probably never got rid of any of your stuff. And so as we were talking through this, we were trying to just like name what it was. And I came to the realization that what we were both talking about was essentially grief. And so as we talk through it, it's this idea that when you get to these stages of life, especially with your last kid, and it's going to be your last kid, as you're doing certain things, especially putting things away that they've lived in or they've loved, like sometimes it's clothes, sometimes it's stuff, sometimes it's things that they do. When they do it for the last time and you're like really invested in that thing, there is a part of you that can feel like you are grieving for the loss of a child that will never exist at that stage again. Yeah. Right. So like
you're
once
mourning the
our
loss
daughters,
stage.
Yeah. So like once our daughter is out of her crib, that crib has been in our lives since our son was born.
Right.
So that was his bed, that was his crib, and then it was hers. And it's kept them both safe and comfortable. And we know that they sleep there. And so when I have to take that down for the last time, like I know that's probably going to be an emotional moment. And so when we were talking about this pre-show, there's sort of this idea of like the grief side of it. Mm-hmm. And then there's also the relief side, right? Like where there's certain things you're going to do, right? What are you gaining every time you switch off to one of these new stages where they grow up a little bit, they're more capable, they're less reliant on you.
Yeah.
And so, have you, I guess my question is like, have you experienced moments of either grief or relief as your kids have grown up now that you have 3 and you know that you're done having kids?
Yes. So this is it's really interesting because my wife and I were just talking about this at length last night. And I think it's very common for us as new parents to hear just, you need to cherish these moments. These are, those first steps, those first words, the I need you, the mommy and all that, right? Like those are things that you're never going to get back. And you need to cherish this moment all the time. And there is a lot of truth to that. And we definitely feel that. But lately, I've really been excited for what we're going to be gaining, right? Because like we're at dinner tonight, right? And the whole time we're at dinner, our daughter, it's like we are having to manage her actively, right? We have to control outbursts. You have to really be on defense. And we were at a family function last night as well. I wasn't able to talk to anyone in my family or really like sit and enjoy a meal. I'm having to trade off with my wife because we got to make sure she's not getting into the dog bowl of a random family and drinking up all the water. And it's like you're actively having to manage it. Whereas me, my 5-year-old and 7-year-old, they are, they can really sit down at dinner and be active participants in engaging conversations. And it's like, man, I am really excited to be done with the toddler stage. Like that's really exciting. Now, I'm not fully there yet, I think, because she's still in her crib. We're still changing diapers. But in about a year or so, or, within the next few months, when we come to that stage, when it ends and we change that last diaper for the last time and we potty train her, like I'm sure that that flood of emotion is going to hit me as well, like 100%.
Yeah.
But I think much more lately, I think I've been very excited for what's to come, what we're going to be gaining. Yeah. And I think there's such a prevalent message on social media, like you need to cherish this right now. But it's like, there are some things about this stage that I'm excited to lose, just like that. And there's a really good post that I'll just read it. And it was aimed at moms from a mom influencer called Brooke Romney Writes. And she, it says, to moms, or I'm just going to say to parents of young kids, you might not miss this. Now that my youngest child is 12, I can honestly say that I've never missed tantrums at the grocery store, putting everyone's shoes on to go for a walk, right? It takes forever to just get out the door. Buckling awkward car seats, which honestly, that's actually a non-issue anymore. If you get like a baby jogger city turn, a rotating car seat is amazing. So that's actually not an issue.
Rotating car seat is 100% the way to go.
That's the way you gotta go. So that's actually not an issue. We're fine with that. Changing diapers. right? Never sleep. Okay, this is a very, very weird thing. I hate changing poopies, but like there's something about the scent of a pee diaper that like brings me back to like my child as a newborn, and it
Yeah.
brings back good memories.
Yeah.
That's a very, I
'cause
don't know. That's weird. I get it.
I completely understand what you mean. There's certain smells. And
Yeah.
honestly, with the number of pee diapers you've changed in your lifetime, because it's also like the first thing you remember about your kid.
Yeah.
It's one of the first things you end up doing, because like their poop doesn't really stink for a long time. Like really like the first 6 months, at least 6 months to a year.
Terrible. Yeah.
It doesn't smell like anything.
There's
So all you
Play-Doh.
smell is like pee diapers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that smell is like, you can smell that in nurseries. Like that's all,
that brings
the
me
first
back.
year of life, basically. Yeah.
That brings me back.
I get it.
But other list of things that she says I'm not going to miss, right? Being constantly requested and needed. Doing the same thing 1,000 times. Fights about who's going to push the elevator button. Runny noses and ear infections, right? The constant sickness. We always talk about that. The hundreds of other things that people promised that I would miss one day. But what I do miss, having a curious little friend in my grocery cart, holding a chubby hand when we're all out for a walk. I miss teaching new words during car rides, and having simple solutions to big messes. I miss reading books at bedtime, and being able to calm the world just with my presence alone. I miss being wanted, and I'm just going to skip a couple, but I mean, you kind of get the gist. There are a lot of tender mercies, right? There are a lot of small moments that we might take for granted that we are going to miss. And it's sad, you're going to you're going to lose some of those things, but you are going to be gaining so much. And I think the message in social media is you have to miss those things. You're a terrible parent if you don't miss that. You're emotionless, right? But it's okay to be frustrated with those tough moments and say like, I'm actually excited to be done with that stage.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Parenting little kids is hard. Like there's no two ways about it. Like, I say this constantly. Our son is 3. He is like, he's not even a difficult child on the scale of like one to hard kids.
We have healthy kids,
they
are
easy
smart
on the scale, but that doesn't make it any easier, right? Like there's arguments, there's tantrums, there's no, I wanted to do it myself. There's all this stuff. And then there's these moments where he does something for himself. And I kind of look at him and go, the stupid thumbs up on the screen.
If you're watching on YouTube, anytime we give like a hand motion, it creates like this automated thumbs up response.
I don't really understand.
Sorry, but keep on going.
Anyways, so it does, it makes you miss having to do that for them in the moment, right? I was telling you pre-show, like the way my son gives me a thumbs up is like he sticks his index finger up instead of sticking his thumb up.
Right.
And there was one day he was sitting there and I said, all right, thumbs up. And I gave him a thumbs up and he stuck his index finger up like he always does. And then he went, oh no, wait. And then he fixed it and he gave me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was cool to watch that little moment of him realizing, oh, I'm not mirroring you exactly. But it made me a little bit sad to like know that little idiosyncrasy that I know him for is basically gone.
Yeah.
So to your point, like there's an appreciation for the things that are gone. You can't get stuck in them though. And I think that's the message, right? Is like, you can enjoy them, kind of grieve for that moment as it existed, grieve for that stage, but then be able to look forward to all the new fun stuff. Like I get to play all kinds of sports with my son now that I could never do before, like, cause he's more coordinated. He has a great time. He wants to be outside and do this fun stuff. He wants to play more games and can do more intricate tasks, which makes it much easier for me to relate to him, especially as a dad, right? Like I can't breastfeed him. I can't do all these things that mom did for him the first couple of years of his life. Now I get to really step in and step up and get him into different hobbies and things. Like he comes and works out in the gym with me. Like he's 3, he loves it. And he swings a little tiny kettlebell, but he loves it. And he has so much fun. And that makes it more enjoyable for me.
Yeah. What's hard for me at the moment, right, is so Henry and Colin are like 5 and 7, right? Colin's about to be 5. And one thing that we really love doing with them are just like board games. I've said it multiple times on this podcast. Like I love card games. So obviously the Pokemon TCG, I play that so much with Henry.
Mhm.
We play a card game called Sleeping Queens. There is like a bingo game, but like with a twist. It's called Zingo. We play that. Been playing a lot of basics like Connect Four, right? We've just been playing so many board games, and it's incredibly fun. But what's hard is, you're forging these cool relationships because they're at this age where you can do that. But then we also have the 2-year-old who crawls up on the table and like scatters all the pieces and all the cards and is like grabbing it and just really disrupting
just
this moment of connection.
Wrecking ball. Yeah.
Right.
Just a tiny wrecking ball.
And so it's hard in those moments to be kind of like, it's really cute, but like, get the hell out of here. Like, it's that's hard. That's where like there's this messaging where like there are moments where you kind of just want to fast forward, where you're like, man, I wish you were just like 5 or 6, right? Like there are those frustrating moments, and that's okay to feel that, because there are so many frustrating parts about the early stages of parenting, and it's okay to feel that. I think the thing that I've always taken heed with is just when the parenting messages of like those frustrating moments, you have to love that too, like, or else you're a heartless parent, like you have to embrace all of the, not just the you have to embrace the crust as well, not just the middle part of the bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, no, sometimes I don't like the crust, and I think that's okay.
Sometimes I don't like a tiny person screaming at the top of their lungs in my face at 6 a.m. Like,
exactly.
That's not fun.
Exactly.
And,
the exhaustion.
And it takes a lot of the exhaustion, like just being, constantly tired. That part is not fun. There's a lot of little stuff that is a lot of fun. And it's also really fun to watch them grow into their own independence.
Right. And that's what's
and watch
really
them start
fun
taking on those tasks. Like, that is so cool to watch that evolution. It does make you a little sad, but the positive of like watching your kid, like my kid loves to cook, and like being able to watch him, go like cut up a banana. Like he wants to, he has a little plastic knife set. He'll go like prep stuff for his own breakfast. Like that's amazing to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And like learning how like, oh, that's how that kind of comes together with this thing. And it's this, you get to see the wheels turn in the brain. Like that's an amazing thing. Those are the moments where you're like, man, I missed that. That's really cool. Like the way that your son does a thumbs up. Like Henry, when he was younger, couldn't say 11. Like he would say Ami Juju, and he couldn't say 7. He would say Ami. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Ami, 8, 9, 10, Ami Juju, 12, 13. So, and it was just like these moments where you're like, and now like my gamer tag, like when I play Marvel Snap or whatever, like my name is Ami Juju. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I was like, well, it's actually an inside thing. But, it's and those are the moments where it's like, oh my gosh, like that you look back on and like, even TV shows, I know that like in 10 years, we're maybe the theme song of Bluey is going to come on. We're going to be like, damn. Remember when life was like simple? Because here's the thing, you gain beautiful things, but as they get older, I think their personalities, problems get much more complex, right? You can't just say like, Henry gets to press the elevator button and you get to press, and like that's not the problems. Now the problems comes with like self-identity and finding their place in the world. Right.
Who am I? Where do I fit?
Like what? And those are much more complex things that, like, do they believe in religion? What is faith? What is our purpose in life? I care about sustainability. I don't know. Like, they're just like things where you're just like,
I'm 36 and I feel like I'm just now starting to kind of figure some of that stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you struggle with that for so many years, and it's hard to watch them like start to step into that adulthood and the struggle that is being a young adult today, or the struggle that is being eventually, if they choose that path, being a parent or whatever that is, and how hard that's going to be, and that's really going to be the thing that I guess what it is sort of that loss of innocence, right? Like of understanding how the world actually works. That's the thing I dread the most.
It's really scary.
Scared of.
It's really scary, especially in today's world where we have the implications of artificial intelligence, like where is that going to be in 5-10 years? Where is that going to be in 1 year?
Who knows?
And the pervasiveness of just social media and that, like how that is also impacting their growth and their sense of identity, and they're having to really engage with, I feel like, questions that like we didn't really have to deal. I mean, like gender identity, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, like there are some things
I didn't have to grapple with any of that.
I didn't have to grapple with it either.
I'm sure there are people who did. I personally did not. And so
and that might be
the
an issue
biggest
with
thing
our kids.
I had to tackle. Yeah, the biggest thing I had to tackle was like, what friend group do I hang out with? And like, who am I? Am I like a punk kid? Am I like a jock kid? Am I like, do I want to try to be a popular kid? Like, what matters to me? And then you realize you get out of high school and like none of it matters anyways. So you just figure out like everybody's weird. Nobody really knows what they're doing. And you just do the best you can.
But now you've got like anonymous online strangers who are telling, 13-year-olds to kill themselves. And it's like, okay, how do I deal with
totally
that?
Different world.
So it's like, so at the moment, right, it hasn't fully hit me yet that like very soon when Sienna is, going to be 3, 4, 5, that we're going to be exiting that stage, that I'll have changed my last diaper. It's probably going to hit me. And I'm probably, and when they're older, I'm probably going to wish that like it was so simple. All I had to do was just extend my arms out and she would come embrace me. And that's all we needed to calm her down. Right. She is just like, she and I have a really good relationship. It's really good. She's annoying, but we love each other. But
they're wild, man.
Yeah. But like, I think I'm really looking forward to this tough toddler stage being over and having this sweet spot of, the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of just the playfulness, the fun. But then when it hits the preteen teen stage, and phones come into the picture, right? And the friend groups start coming into the picture, and I'm not cool anymore. I'm embarrassed by my parents. That's when I feel like we're really going to look back at this time and that advice of like, cherish now. I feel like that's when that's really going to hit home. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to ebb and flow. I'm in a point of flux right now, though.
So roller coaster of emotions that is parenting, man. It's none of it's easy. It's all hard, and you feel how you feel. And I think everybody's they're doing the best they can. We're all trying to figure it out. And like you said, you're not going to appreciate every single moment, and that's okay. I don't appreciate being yelled at or demanded of, but I appreciate the moments when, my kid comes up and sits next to me on the couch and says, "Hey, can we have a movie night?" Like, that's awesome. Like doing movies and pizza every Friday night is like the best thing.
That's how
and
Colin
I know
is.
that's right. And I know that's not going to be forever. And so like as many Fridays as I can get where we're going to have movies and pizza and we're going to spend time together as a family, like I'll take them now. And then whatever comes next, we'll try to be excited for that and we'll deal with it as it goes.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm struggling with right now too is like bedtime. It was a really, really fun thing. Nowadays, it just feels like bedtime is sometimes just like a grind, just like the books. And then like,
it's tough, man.
Okay. Here's what I really struggle. Okay. Especially my oldest, Henry, he loves to talk at night. Just about everything. And about my day. We're having turf installed in our backyard, right? So what is it going to feel like, and why are we doing this? I'm excited for it. Just he to talk, and then just about everything. Like at nighttime, that's when he really opens up. But it's also the time where I just want to skedaddle out of the room and just like chill with my wife and lay down, because if we get Henry talking, he goes. And even Colin, who wants to go to sleep, is just like, "You're talking a lot. I want to go to sleep." And that's like my cue to be like, "Okay, I'm sorry, buddy." And I'll go.
All right, buddy, we got to cut this off.
But what I struggle with is like sometimes like, buddy, I'm just not in the mood to talk. Like I don't want to, I don't want to do the full bedtime. I just want to go, and sometimes just be like, buddy, it's really time to go to bed, and I'll just excuse myself, and Henry, and I can see Henry like wanting to talk, but he's like, "All right, fine, I'll go to bed." And I feel a sense of like regret of like, hey, dude, you're just rushing out of the room. Your son wants to talk to you. You're going to lose this soon. So it's like, I struggle because in the moment I'm tired. I just want to be done with the night. Okay. We had a long day with you guys. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't want to look back 5-10 years from now. I'm like, man, remember all those times where like I could have built a better bond Why
Mm-hmm.
couldn't you just suck it up for another 15, 30 minutes and just talk to your kid?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of like in this in between where I'm like, ugh, I can see myself telling myself that in 10 years, but at the same time, like
Right.
I'm in it right now. I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
I'm really tired.
The now is very different than the
It
the you
is.
in 10 years. They're
that's where
two
I'm
different
struggling.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm struggling.
I can understand
I
that.
know the right thing to do. And sometimes like, yeah, we do extend our chat for a half hour and I just let him talk to me about everything that comes into his mind, sports and this and that. It's great because we all have common interests, especially the Pokemon stuff, dude. He can just go at length about Pokemon and I freaking love it. I'm so proud that I'm breeding a nerd. But I'm just tired sometimes, and I'm like, I don't want to talk, man. And I feel guilt, but I'm like, I gotta get out of here,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you also have to have your own boundaries, right? At the same time, like you do want to have those conversations, and I think the reason we do this and have these conversations is that we're dads that want to do the right thing.
Right.
And we don't always know the answer, and we're not always going to do the right thing. There's going to be nights where we're just exhausted and we don't want to have that hour-long conversation about, dragons or whatever it is.
Right.
And then there's nights where like, okay, I've got the time, I'm in the mood, like we're going to do it. And honestly, more often than not, that's the version they're going to get.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you do have to set that boundary that says like, look, I have nothing left in the tank and I have to be okay with that. Right. And it doesn't mean you don't feel guilty because like you still feel that guilt and say like, I should have done this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need that recharge in order to get to a place where then the next night you can have that 30-minute conversation about, the turf in your backyard.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's just, I can feel myself like the need for the recharge is slowly superseding the need to connect. And I feel the guilt about that. And I need to just like alter that. But like, especially lately, it's just been like so tiring, and there's just, then there's a lot of things going on.
Hard. Raising 3 kids is hard. Yeah. Managing a marriage while raising 3 kids and having a career is hard. Like it's,
and we got to be the leaders of our household.
There's not enough hours and energy in the day. Yeah.
Like we are the leaders of our household. We have to manage finances and there's stresses that come with that. There's a lot of things, those bills. Like I just got hit with a freaking big fat tax bill because I was self-employed for all the, and it is like the biggest tax bill I've ever had. And I'm like, damn, man, so that's dwelling on me. And I'm like, I got to figure out, so there's just so many things that just like get in the weeds and it just kind of impedes my ability to be at the level that I want to be. You know what I mean? And it's sometimes just hard getting over that hump. So that's just where I'm at, honestly. It's not perfect.
Totally understandable. I was there a couple weeks ago. I had to confess to my wife and just be like, look, I can't handle this right now. I was super stressed at work, have a ton of stuff going on. That's part of the reason I was not on the show the last few episodes is what we had holidays and all that. But I ended up just texting the guys on the podcast and be like, hey, I can't do this. I can't do it this week. Like I just have no capacity. And I had been working every weekend, basically trying to get this big deployment out at work and all kinds of stuff. I was just so burnt out that I was like, I have very little capacity for my kids. I have very little capacity for my wife. I have no capacity for anything else. Yeah. And sometimes you just need to set that, take that space, take that breather, reset and say, okay, like what's important? Where can I refocus? What can we do a little bit more efficiently to make more time? And so then I don't have to miss things like bedtime and, doing puzzles and having those longer conversations because mentally I'm able to handle it.
Yeah, for sure.
But so you're not always 100% and that's okay.
That's how it is. Yeah, man. Sometimes I enjoy hopping on and chatting with you and Andrew, but then there's some times where it's just like, man, recording a podcast right now feels like work and I don't want to do it.
Sometimes it's a grind and we still do it.
We still do it for you guys. But I mean, guys, we've been really consistent. Last week was the first time we've missed in like, I don't even know, like months. So it's been
a long time.
Yeah, we've been really consistent. I'm proud of us, but there are going to be times where, hey, guys, dad life is going to supersede things. It gets stressful and we're going to miss here and there. It's just how it is. But hey, that's the rigors of us being dads. And I'm sure that you guys out there are feeling a lot of similar things. And if you want to share any of your thoughts, whether you kind of can empathize or feel certain things or any things that you're struggling with, let us know. comment down in the bottom of the YouTube channel. And speaking of, the YouTube channel has been largely dominated by the podcast, but I do have a couple bits of content that I'm excited for. It's much different from when I was actively managing Dad Verb, really posting weekly and all that. Now for me, it's much more quality over quantity. I'm maybe once a month, a nice, well thought out, long form video, the kind of the Casey Neistat approach, who's always been my idol. Something
Nice.
a little bit more produced, a little bit more of a story to it. Next one's going to be all about my vasectomy. It's going to be like the full detail, the full breakdown, much more,
Nice.
That kind of style of content on Dad Verb. So it's going to be fun. Anyway, we're going to leave you with that. We'd love to hear from you guys. Again, Dad Gang stuff. If you want to check out dadgang.co, use Dad Verb, all caps, one word, 15% off. I love the gear, man. I'm probably going to be rocking this stuff a little bit more often. That'll do it for this week's episode. If you have any sort of questions, you can always reach out to hello@dadverb.com. Remember to check out dadverb.com for courses from pregnancy up through year 1 of fatherhood. And you can join us on our Discord if you want to have a community as a chat with there. It's going to be linked below in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.